Hi everyone, my name is Maria and I am the Green Stitcher here on Flosstube and over on Instagram. Welcome if you are new here and welcome back if you are a returning viewer. Thank you for choosing to spend your time with me. My channel is all about cross stitch and a little bit about sewing and quilting and other kinds of crafts like embroidery and sometimes crochet. I imagine I'll show at some point. Today, however, is going to be all about cross stitch. I am filming on December 3rd. Today is Tuesday. I'm off work to run a few errands and have a few appointments. I'm kind of in the middle of them. I thought I have solid sort of hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. I have good lighting, touch wood. Added my Stitchy light, of course, to, you know, have the colors show as true as they can. And yeah, I wanted to share my November Stitchy update with you here today. It's going to be a slightly longer one, I think around 90 minutes rather than an hour. And so yeah, I hope you enjoy today's video and we'll stick around. So, got my notes. What I'm planning to talk to you about today is I'll show you my FFOs. I had no finishes in November. I'll show you my whips I worked on, the starts that I had, a bit of haul and gifts, talk to you about my plans for December, Stitchy wise and video wise as well, do a life update, and then also have a couple of little surprises for you throughout the video. So like I said, stick around if you're interested and let's get started. So November was quite busy, and no matter that I was off for a week and I was ill for a couple of days before that and I stayed at home, I didn't stitch as much as I did in some previous months. A few reasons for that. I'll touch on them a bit throughout the video. They were all mostly good ones, I think, in November, yeah. I ended up having 11,000 stitches with bits in November, which is funny because it's the 11th month, my birthday is on the 11th of November, and I, yeah, coincidentally, I stitched 11,000 stitches as well, which is normal for me, to be honest. Yeah, I've FFO'd a couple things, like I said. I want to show you one FFO from October before we start with all of that. You might have seen it in my previous video talking about Mira and Nora experience that I've had so far. If you haven't watched it, or just for a quick recap for anyone who wants to see it again, I hope. I wanted to show you my FFO'd Mirabilia, the one and only for now. So this is Blossom by Mirabilia Designs, and I stitched her I started her last year, finished in April. I FFO'd her at the end of October, but felt like November being the, you know, Nora November month made much more sense to show you the FFO in. So here she is. I stitched her on 32 count Witchet linen that I overdyed with Rid dye, and she stitched with everything called for, 2/2. Same with skin and all the called for beads. So she turned out really, really lovely. I took her to a Stitchy event I went to this month and got some positive feedback as well, besides a few lovely comments on Instagram. So really happy she is completely done. And like I said in my previous video, this one definitely started a thing for me. I was never a Mirabilia or Fancy Lady stitcher before. However, I fell in love with this one and a couple others. Started this one, obviously finished it quite quickly for me as well, and now have a few more Mirabilia whips, which we'll talk about today as well. So as first bit of surprise for today, to celebrate Nora November, but also to sort of piggyback on my birthday in November, I wanted to do a giveaway and give away my copy of Blossom. She's completely new. I've taken out the pattern through the side just to scan it and used it once, so she's absolutely intact. One of the corners is like slightly crinkled, as they arrive like that sometimes, but yeah, I wanted to share the joy, spread the you know, the addiction to memorabilias. And so if you would like to join the giveaway and try to win this one, don't say win, don't say giveaway, don't say free, be 18 so I can ask for your mailing address, be anywhere in the world where I can post to from the UK, and leave a comment containing the word blossom. Double S. I'll put the word on the screen just in case as well. And yeah, I will draw the winner closer to the end of December. I haven't decided yet when exactly, but you can definitely enter until Christmas. And then if you haven't seen an announcement yet after Christmas, you can still enter. So put the word blossom in the comments for this one. And if you are wondering, if you haven't seen the materials needed, she uses only DMC colors. There's one blend. You will need 2 skeins of B5200 and six colors of beads by Mill Hill. I'm pretty sure you can get a pack for this, so yeah, I'm hoping that someone who really wants to stitch one will join in and get a chance to stitch this lovely lady. And then my other 2 FFOs were really tiny, but I still wanted to share them with you. So I think I finished this one in October, and this is my first Mill Hill Santa. This one is Cardinal Santa, and I FFO'd him as I do my gnomes. I don't have them on my shelf today because they're downstairs already on the living room shelves, decorating the living room for the holiday season. But here is the Santa. So what I normally do with these, I back them with felt and then put them into these little tree stumps that are made for placement cards on a dining room table. I cut a piece of paper bigger, you know, than the feet at the bottom there, so it goes in with the felt and sticks in quite nicely. I just felt it was quite big for a Christmas ornament, so yeah, he is decorating my shelf here in the hobby room. Absolutely loved stitching on him. Everything called for. My favorite perforated paper by Mill Hill. I had a kit, so yeah, used everything from the kit except for the felt, which was from my stash. Lovely little birdie sitting on the sack with gifts. So absolutely loved working on this one. And the beard and mustache were quite easy to do as well. I was a little bit intimidated. The only thing I changed about this is for the white in his coat, I used a Riolis wool acrylic blend that I had left from some of their kits, and instead of the DMC blend that was meant to be here by if you followed the pattern. So he lives here for now. And you can see my lovely Brooks Books angel decorating my shelf again already because it's already December. And then the third little FFO I had this month was the first pattern I did from Hands On Design, and it is the Mary Berry from the Squareology series, and I FFO'd it on a cut of birch like this, with some you know, padded it a bit so it's nice and fluffy, and then added a red cord and the buttons from the embellishment pack, and absolutely love it. I haven't like finished it. It needs either a loop to go on a tree, or the way I've done them, some designs similarly for my mom as a gift previously, we've screwed in like the metal holders on the back so she could hang them on the wall in the summer house. But yeah, it's 99.9% FFO'd. For now, it's just leaning against some books in the living room and decorating our home for the holidays. So loved stitching this. I used 32 count Belfast linen in charcoal, I think. It's a dark grey, and I loved working on it. I don't think I used any of the called for colors. It calls for all hand-dyed cottons. I just used a selection from my stash. Some of them are non-variegated dimensions, threads left over from their kits. Some of them are DMC and some of them are hand-dyed. So if you're interested in my specific conversion, you can message me and I'll be happy to share. You can still get the embellishment pack, I believe, but if you would like to stitch this pattern, you can actually win it as a giveaway as well. So I wanted to, again, spread the joy, share the lovely designs that I've stitched, and this is my copy again. It's barely used. I just scanned it, made myself an electronic pattern, and that was it. So for this one, again, don't say win, giveaway, free, any of that stuff. Put the word Merry, M-E-R-R-Y, in the comments down below, and be 18 so I can ask for your mailing address. You can be anywhere in the world where I can post to from the UK. I will be posting both of those with the cheapest option just because international can get quite expensive, so it might take a bit longer to get to you if you live abroad. But I did send one of my previous giveaways, was won by a lovely stitcher in Canada, and she got her pattern no problem, so just took a couple of weeks, I think. Again, I will draw it closer to the end of the year, end of December. You can enter until Christmas for sure. If you haven't seen the announcement after Christmas yet, then you can still enter under this video. So Merry for this one and Blossom for the Mirabilia pattern. You can enter both if you want, but I will give each to two individual people, if that makes sense. So yeah, that was my FFOs and my two little gifts for you guys if you wanted to you know, try and win those. Now for a bit of tea before we go on. That is a lot of talking, so we need to moisturize, keep hydrated, I'm trying to say. So yeah, I haven't gotten to any other FFOs this month, I mean November, nor did I do any finishes. So if you have seen my October Stitchy update, you know that I have finished quite a few things, and I finished quite a few big things as well, which made me feel much more relaxed for the end of the year and feel like I can sort of just do whatever and not worry about finishing anything else too much by the end of December. So not only did I work on some of my WIPs, I also started a few things, and I will show you things in the order that I started them at some point, not in the order that I stitched them in November. So first and foremost, I've got a pile of project bags here in front of me so I can show you things. So first and foremost, I finally got back to my lovely series by Make It Pink, and the artwork is by Hannah Alexander. So I started this lovely lady in May. She is a character from the Witcher universe, and I'm stitching the big version in the middle with the flowers, with the background, with the frame, with all the things. So I'm trying to see how I can, yeah, let me just drop it on the ground and I'll clean things up. So I worked on her. I was hoping to at least do 1,000, and then I picked her up, did 1,000, felt like it wasn't enough, and I still had time in the month to work on her some more, so I did another 1,000, and then I still couldn't put her away, and I felt just so good giving her some lovely time in progress, and I ended up doing 3,000 stitches on her in November, which is amazing. And as you probably know me, I am more of a, I don't know, we need to invent a term for this. You know, there's people who stitch on at least like a few things with more progress throughout the month. And then there's people who kind of jump around and stitch a bit on all the things. So this month was definitely more projects, less progress, but Siri got the biggest chunk, so that was 3,000, like I said. So I've worked on her boots, on some of her clothing, more on the background as well on the frame. So I'm just trying to pull sort of everything up, and as you might see, I've already scrolled the frame a bit, and I actually got to 20% on her, which is amazing. I think if you know, she's a big one. She's going to be 75,000 stitches, which is quite a lot for me. And having done 20% in basically half a year is quite an achievement for me, I'll be honest with you. So I'm stitching her on 32 count Witchet linen, over dyed by me with red dye, and it shrunk a little to 34 count. And I'm stitching 2/2 with DMC and 1/2 with Kreinik number 4 instead of 2/2 as called for. And I absolutely love her. I had the best time working on her. Like I said, I couldn't put her away. The stitching is just so easy and simple, even with all the fractionals, which honestly makes it more interesting for me rather than complicated. I just had the best time. And I was really glad to work on her because I haven't picked her up since when? Since September, I think, because I was so concentrated on finishing things in October. Like I said, I didn't have the time for her until now, and I'm so glad that I did stitch on her, and I'm definitely not putting her aside and trying to, you know, give her some love every single month. Then the next thing I worked on as part of the Nora November, I decided to pick up my only Mira WIP that I had at that point, and it was my second fancy lady in the series that I've made up, where to me they look like they're in kimonos, and it is Miss Dancing Flower. Again, I started her in May during Mania. This one was unplanned, and she is about the same size as Blossom, but does use one silk and some treasures. Very similar color palette though. I did say already the garland of flowers she's holding in her hands kind of looks like the flowers on Blossom's dress. I don't know if I should be showing you my bags where I have it. Well, this one lives in my Sugar Skull and Day of the Dead. And you can see Princess Aliana waiting for her to be stitched at some point. So like I said, one silk, which is Tequila Sunrise, very lovely pink to yellow, orange, and yeah, pink to orange, yellow, and peach kind of variegation. Very lovely. And I was only hoping to do 1,000 on her, and I wasn't expecting to have a bit more time to stitch on her, but like I said, I had a bit more time off in November, so I did manage to give her quite a lot of time, which I was really glad about. So I did about 2,000 stitches on her. Let me see, yeah, you can see it this way. So I did I've completely stitched this section with the lovely checkered design, absolutely stunning with the, you know, the different shades of DMC reflecting the 3D effect and the light reflections and stuff. Really lovely. I've done more of the green here. This section with green and with the beads reminds me of butterfly wings for some reason. I've done more in the right bottom corner, and just had, like I said, a wonderful time working on her. This one I'm stitching on the 32 count Picture This Floss linen in Crystal Da Vinci. So it's the one with iridescent thread in the fabric, and I absolutely love it. And like I keep on saying, the other piece of the fat half that I had is going to be the fabric for Princess Aliana. So love her, so gorgeous. If you can believe it, this is almost a third, about 29% at this point. It seems like there's such little progress compared to the whole design, you know, but I guess the bottom part is the widest, and then it goes, you know, narrower to the top. So I prefer to stitch fancy ladies and just my designs in general, bottom to top with the bottom middle start if it's not full coverage, and bottom left corner if it is full coverage. So it's easier for me to check my margins, but then I also get to get to the face and the crown and whatever she has around her head last, which I feel like is like leaving best for last. Next whip I worked on was spontaneous one. So I took it to, again, a Stitchy event that I went to in November that I'll talk to you about in the life update. And I needed something smaller to take so I can stitch it on my stand on the skull frame. And I took my Garden Carps by Owl Forest Embroidery, and it kind of tied in perfectly with my BDay SAL theme as well. So I started this one again in May. Lots of mania starts in my whips this month, and I had the PDF pattern off their website, and then my friend got me the floss pack by Owl Forest from their website, the friend who lives in Belarus. So I'm stitching with everything called for. She lives in this lovely bag I made with the owls for all of my future Owl Forest designs. And I did a little bit of progress on the day, and then I just couldn't put it away again. I just felt so good working on it throughout the month, and I decided to, you know, give it a few more days after the retreat. And so all in all, I've added about 1,300 stitches here. So last thing you saw was the waves were done, most of the water lilies at the bottom were done, and so I've stitched the whole fish completely, and then I think some of the water lily leaves here. So I think on the day I did loads of white because it was easy to count, and then I did the variegated salmon and charcoal when I got back home in a couple of days. So yeah, I absolutely love this one. Like I said, again, I guess I love the combination of the colors, but also it's my favorite fabric. So this is 32 count with short linen in color water lily, which I feel like just matches perfectly the suggested color on the pattern. Love this absolutely. Again, that's one of those I don't want to put away and I want to keep on working on. I have the cranes as well from the same series, which I'm probably going to stitch maybe not right after the carps, but you know, quite soon after, I think. And then the last whip I worked on in November was a Halloween night start. You've seen it before because I started it originally on Friday the 13th in September, and messed up my fabric and had to restart it, so I did restart on Halloween, and it is Cricket Collection Playing with Jacks. One of my absolute favorites of theirs, and I've had this pattern for years at this point. And what I was getting worried about is that if I don't restart it straight away, I will, you know, just put it aside and it will take another couple of years for me to get to it. So I've decided to restart on Halloween. I've put it in my Halloween bag that I made with lovely funky cats and pumpkins, where my Halloween shepherd's bush design used to live. There's black fabric with quilting inside, and as you might see, the pattern itself only calls for DMC, but I wanted to fancy it up, I guess. I'll show you where I've used. So I'm using 2 hand-dyed cottons in here, and the frames are falling. And where I got to, so this is Halloween night plus some more progress at the beginning of November. I've got about 1,000 stitches here as well. So I went with the original fabric that I used here that I stained. You might still be able to see a bit of bluish stains on this side, but I've overdyed it with RIT on top. So it's 32 count witch hot linen, again, one of my favorites, and taupe RIT dye. And the colors that I'm using in terms of hand dyed, so the acorn leaves here were meant to be stitched in a color that's very similar to the fabric, and I wanted them to stand out a little bit more, so I'm using Chickpea by BDay Works from Stash. And then there's going to be a frame around the top and the sides that uses like a really light blue that again seemed to me like it was going to blend in. So I've picked out Wisconsin Woods by Classic Color Works that I used in my shepherd's bush stocking, just to kind of support the purples in here more. So here are the colors that I've added in here. Yeah, just a bit of personalization and my own touch. I feel like this is the way you can see the fabric best. A bit of mottling. It got a bit spookier than it was before, obviously. So the base of it was sand or sandstone, something like that. Yeah, this is one that I don't think I'll go back to anytime soon. I have become less of a seasonal stitcher this year, but this one somehow is just not calling for me at the moment. So I think I'm going to put it aside for a bit and then pick it up later in 2025. It's a recent start anyway, so I don't feel too guilty about it. Right, and so that was 4 of my whips, and then I also had 5 starts, which seems like a lot for me, and I had a couple of, again, impromptu starts due to the circumstances, I guess. So one of them was the Acorn Shaker Box by Jeanette Douglas. I had stitched the pumpkin one a couple of years ago, and I got them both patterns when I was at Create Nostalgia a couple years ago. So I only had the pattern, I kitted it up throughout, I think, last year. The only tricky floss that I needed for this one was a Gloriana, which I had to wait for a couple of months to appear in stock in the English store where I was getting it. But it's a lovely, lovely color. So it's Falcon Brown by Gloriana, and it's this kind of brick red with grays and browns in it, and it's just lovely to work with. So I think so far I've worked with Aversois, I think sampler, what are they called, Silken Colors, Karen's and Gloriana silks from the things that I've done. I feel like I like Gloriana the best. It is not as bouncy and not as stretchy as some other silks, if that makes sense, and I quite like that. You know, where how cotton doesn't stretch much, I quite enjoy that. So this design I started in November because I was going to a crafty get together with a local group of crafters that I've been going to. They just get together once in a few weeks, and people do all sorts of crafts. They draw, they make jewelry with beads and stuff, they cross stitch as well, embroider, all sorts of things. So I needed something small that I can carry with me and stitch on in, you know, in a coffee shop that's quite small and you have quite restricted space. So again, it lives in the bag that I made with these lovely autumn leaves, and this one has like a few layers of interfacing, so it's a really fluffy one. And since I've made this one, I've started using fewer layers because I feel like it's not needed, but it's very nice to sort of touch. So Acorn Shaker Box is being stitched on 32 count Belfast linen. Base was platinum. I over dyed again with taupe Brit dye, and my progress is about 50% in November. It's quite easy to stitch. There isn't too many colors. So the frame around it is being stitched with 1 strand of Gloriana silk over 2, and then everything else is stitched with 2 strands of over dyed as called for over 2 as well. They suggest you can swap the I think it's Gentle Art or Classic Color Works here for the wool option of the same colors and do 1 over 2, but I wanted to expand my collection of hand-dyed cottons, so I got those. I love this fabric. It just turned out so nice. And this is another little purchase of November. So I got these square-ish wooden hoops just off somewhere on Amazon, just to help me stitch, you know, with just holding it in my hand without any stand or anything when I'm outside the house. The round Nurge hoop that I had, the metal one, is lovely, and I love the tension that it gives you, but it doesn't, it's quite heavy in my hand and strains my wrist, so I'm trying to keep my wrists happy and healthy, and lighter wooden hoops work better for that. So that was one start. Then I also started another memorabilia for Nora in November. I think I've shown you, I think I've told you about it at the end of October, and I've shown you all the things in the Mira Nora video in the middle of November. I started my second, well, it's my second as in active whip from Mirabilia, and it is Goddess Garden, and in my opinion it is the most beautiful Mirabilia ever. I do love the fancy ladies, but for me, these lovely ladies but built into the background and the architectural aspect of it with flowers as well is just the absolute combo. So I got this one on eBay, almost fully kitted up. It was just missing fabric and one color of Krynic. And this one is quite fancy in terms of, you know, additional materials. It doesn't use many colors of DMC, but there are 4 silks, a Krynic, and like loads. 11 colors of beads, I think. Some of which are bugle beads as well. She lives now in my Japanese blossom bag that used to host a Japanese garden, and has all of the additional materials in here, so all of the silks, beads, and I've added a leftover black from my Dimensions kits to keep all of the black stitches consistent, because it's it calls for like 3,000 or 4,000 of them, which you wouldn't think there's so much black here. So like I said, it was missing fabric and I couldn't find the called for anywhere in the UK where I could get it quite quickly, and because I wanted to start it, you know, as soon as possible, I decided to dye my own. That's what you do. And I started the design just a couple of days before my birthday as well, and here's where I got to. So I used my well, I thought it was 32 count Witchold from Stash, and I over dyed it with teal red dye. During stitching I felt like it wasn't 32, the stitches seemed too big to be 32 count, so I recalculated it and it turned out it was 30 count linen. And judging by the, you know, the waistband on the side, it's not Witchold. I've just talked to a friend who showed a similar one, and I think it might either be Tifri Italian linen or Sajou, or maybe it is a Witchold, who knows, but yeah, it's 30 count, which I don't think it shrunk much during dyeing because I recalculated based on the original piece I had. I got this linen off someone on Facebook Marketplace, and they did say they didn't know the brands, and they were embroidery linens from the 90s, which was fine with me because I was going to over dye them anyways. So I made quite a lot of progress on it in the couple of days that I've stitched on it. Again, like you see, started in the middle at the bottom with the lovely frame using Espresso by Karen Waterlilies, and started the base on which the ladies are standing and are, you know, forming the fountain, the basin of the fountain with the water as well. Have used 2 colors of silk already, and this is about 12 or 1300 stitches. Loved working on it, absolutely wonderful. The stitches lay so nicely because it's 30 count, and I'm hoping it will help the beads lay a bit nicer as well. I did not want to put this away, I'll be very honest with you guys. I was really really reluctant to do that, and I have been meaning to go back to it ever since, but was just busy with life things, birthday things, and just stitching on a few other things I really wanted to give love to. So my hope is that I'll be back to it very very soon in December, and again, I don't want to put it away, and I want to keep on working on it. It's a bit smaller compared to my other Mirabilis that I have done. I think it's about 14,000 only, so it shouldn't take me too long in theory, and I'm hoping, maybe, touch wood, I might finish it by May next year, which could make the slot for another Mirabilia start. Yeah. Then on my actual birthday, and I'll insert a picture here because I don't have a printed out copy of it. It is the I started Owl Forest Embroidery Woodland Spirit. Again, same kind of configuration as I did for the Garden Carps. I got the PDF on their website and the floss pack through my friend in Minsk. And the colors here are really lovely, quite muted, and there's only the lovely bright red that, you know, pops in here. I hand dyed fabric for it as well, and this is my progress. So I used red dye in dark green, I think, to over dye 32 count Belfast linen. Let me just fold it in half so you can see my progress better. Here's where I got to in the couple of days that I worked on it again, and this is about 1,000 only. So I did start it on my actual birthday after our little trip, and then I stitched on it for a couple of days, but it wasn't calling for me really, and I'm still not sure I did the right thing doing variegated floss on mottled fabric. I feel like maybe it's a wiser choice to stitch Owl Forest on, you know, solid color fabric. But yeah, did some of the bottom frames, started with the tree trunk and some of the floral and leaf motifs on the sides as well. So yeah, I'm not 100% sure when I'm going to go back to it. I quite like the look of it now that I look at it now. Yeah. Maybe it wasn't the right day for it. You know, birthdays can be a bit tricky and busy and manic, so yeah. It's not really, it doesn't feel too autumnal to me, so I think I might come back to it earlier than next autumn. That would be nice. I would like that. But yeah, that was still lovely to stitch on it for a couple of days. And then my fourth start was my last Mill Hill gnome. And by last, I mean last in this series, and probably last because I've had enough of them. So I started the gnome with the tree. I've stitched all of the other 4 from the series, which are here on the back, and I have shown them to you before, but I will show them again at the end of the year. I think I started the whole series this year, so I thought it would be a good idea to finish it this year and not drag it into 2025. It lives in my bag that I made again with holly leaves, that's made specifically for Mill Hills. And I've only done a couple hundred stitches so far, and here is my progress. So I started this one at the retreat as well. I took quite a few projects with me, which I'll again talk to you about in a minute. And I did some of the cap, I think, and started on the sleeve of his coat. I'm using everything called for, everything from the kit, as always, perforated paper, DMC, and beads. Yeah, love the progress. I am hoping to finish it in December. And like I said, not drag it with me into 2025. Have the series finished and start some other Mill Hill series that I love and want to stitch on, you know, in full. 6 designs mostly. For some reason, and if you do know, please let me know, this series only has 5 designs. I feel like Mill Hill always release collections of 6, but I guess this one is somehow different. And then the last start I had, which was just the last couple of days of November, again, I wanted to join in Nora November and have an actual Nora start, not just Mirabilias. I started the companion piece to the winter hare I stitched earlier this year, which is the winter owl. So it's the Holiday in the Forest series. There's a few more, but I'm only doing these 2. She is quite much smaller in terms of stitching, as you can see, than the hare. Uses uses fewer fancy, you know, materials than the hare again, and is meant to be stitched on, I think it's just natural casual linen or something here. And as I think I've forgotten to take it, sorry, and as I did on the hare, I have picked a darker fabric for it and did a tiny start of, again, a couple hundred stitches because I only picked it up at the end of the month. So I'm stitching her on 32 count Picture This Blast linen in color Dawn, and I'm using, again, everything called for. I've got the one cryonic that's needed, the same silk that's needed from the hare. There's quite a lot left over, loads of DMCs in the owl itself, and then the beads are my stash beads, and then the leaves you will need to sew on. I did mention it as well, but I'll say it again in case you want to stitch these. If you buy embellishment packs, you get 3 in each pack, which is exactly enough for 1 design. If you're kitting the designs yourself, because they only call for a couple colors of beads, and I feel like if you do stitch Mirabilis and Mill Hills, you should have some leftovers in stash. If you're buying them yourself, 1 box of leaves only has 2, so you'll need 3 boxes to stitch both of them. So I have exactly 3 left, and I have put the owl design into the bag that I made myself with this Japanese inspired fabric. Put the whisper, a few DMCs in here already, the beads, the cryonic, yeah, and had my little start on it in November. So I've participated both in my own birthday start along rather. So thank you everyone who joined me as well. We were stitching on things that were green with green floss or green fabric, or with owls, or on an owl forest embroidery. So I managed to stitch on 2 designs that are owl forest, which was great. And then I also managed to stitch on my 1 Mirabilia whip that was the only one at the beginning of the month, start another Mirabilia, and also start a Nora Corbett, which was quite fun, and I really enjoyed myself. So that was all of the stitching I did in November. Like I said, about 11,000 stitches, which I think is okay for how busy the month was. And I also wanted to show you, I wanted to talk to you about some of my plans for December, and talk to you about some of the haul-in gifts I got, and do a life update. So in terms of December plans, and I'll be inserting pictures here just so I don't show you like 15 million projects in one video. So having finished quite a lot of things in October and having dedicated November to my birthday stitching and the Nora Mira stitching, I decided to have a look back at all of 2024, see if there's something else I wanted to work on, and see if there are any projects left that I haven't touched this year at all. And turned out there were 4 of those, and I felt quite excited to pick them up, to be honest with you. So I will be working on these 4 in December besides other things. And so what I'm hoping to work on is my oldest whip at the moment, I think, now that I've finished the Japanese garden, which is Poppy Field by Anchor, which is my 2022 start. It's a gift I'm stitching for my mom, so I need to get working on it and finish it as soon as possible. I think I'm at about 46 or 43%, so quite a lot of progress already, but not sort of close to a finish just yet. Then my other 3 whips were 2023 starts, and I will be working on the English sampler by Anchor, again, another kit of theirs. This one I don't have percentage for because it's my only pattern currently that I don't have in a digital format. It's quite large. The way it's printed out and given to you in a kit it looks like it didn't get all the pages you know, just printed out as one piece, but rather they printed them separately, then tried to, you know, match them up and then scan them somehow. So basically the grid is not perfect, and if you're trying to scan it and put it into a program as a background to, you know, to do the pattern for Cross-Stitch Saga, it becomes quite a nightmare. And I've just left it be. I'm just marking it off on paper, counting my stitching, and so I don't know my percentage on that. If you can hear some background noises, my husband is gaming with his friends, and we are obviously sharing the hobby room. Then the 3rd project that I haven't touched this year and I want to work on in December is Field of Tulips by Alyssa, again another kit. I only did 1,000 stitches on it when I started it last spring. It was one of those spontaneous starts where I didn't prep much for it, so I didn't have a scroll frame available, I didn't iron my fabric properly, and I think that was bugging me and didn't let me, you know, go on stitching on it at that point. And the 4th one is another kit. This one is Dimensions, Purity, Strength, Truth. Again, started it last year, but this one was done for my husband, and I'm hoping to pick it up in December as well. So the plan for these 4 is to stitch at least 1,000 on each. If I feel like I have time and I want to work on them more, the more the better. I'm hoping to make more progress on them then. None of them are close to a finish, so I'm not going to be pushing myself to, you know, try and finish in them in December. And then I have a few things that I think I could potentially finish and add to my list of finishes in 2024 and reduce my number of whips going into next year. These are the ones I've shown you today actually. So it's the Acorn Shaker Box by Jeanette Douglas, the Gnome with Tree by Mel Hale, and the Winter Owl by Nora Corbett. I don't think they have much stitching left to do. I think each of them has about 1,000. Winter Owl probably a bit more, but I feel like it's quite doable for me in December. And then if I have any time left and I want to pick up anything else, some of the things I think at this point at least I might want to work on are 12 Days of Christmas by Stony Creek, Siri again by Make It Pink. I really want to go back to The Goddess Garden by Mira WIPs, and I might pick up something else that I haven't thought of just yet. So yeah, I am off in December for the Christmas break, so closer to the end of the month, and I'm hoping that will give me a bit more time to stitch on my whips and things this month. I'm also attending Jingle Ball next weekend, well, this upcoming weekend, so I've heard a lot of fill-in stitching is recommended, and yeah, I'm hoping to make some lovely progress in December as well. In terms of video plans, I think I might come back in the middle of the month and talk to you about one of my favorite books and do a flip through, or maybe recap some of my winter stitching from previous years. I haven't decided just yet. If not, I will see you back at the end of the year. So what I'm hoping to film is a finish parade at closer to New Year's, and then my whip parade at the beginning of January, so I can, you know, start 2025 fresh. And we'll probably incorporate 2025 plans into one or the other. Yeah, I think that was it for plans. And then next thing I wanted to show you is a little bit of haul and some gifts. So I've received a birthday gift from my lovely Stitchy friend Masha from Belarus, who has kindly gifted me a few absolutely lovely things that I've really wanted and I didn't know I did until I got them. So she knows I love all things wooden, especially the ones done in sort of dark oak. And so she gifted me this lovely stand for a pincushion. It is handmade by a crafter in Belarus from real wood, has a lovely acorn branding. I think this is either, you know, engraved or maybe even burned into the back of it. It's really lovely and smooth, very nice to touch, and you also get the wooden base that you can use to stretch your stitching on, to put it in here. So I'm really excited to find a design to stitch on here. I wish it had come earlier, or I had somehow known that it's coming, because if I had started the acorn shaker box on a smaller count, I might have been able to fit it in here, which would have been so perfect, it being, you know, an acorn branded piece. But yeah, it's fine. The other thing I got was a lovely Mill Hill kit. She knows I love black cats and have my own too, and so she gifted me this lovely kit. She also got me a lovely needle minder from Owl Forest Embroidery with my initial on it, which, as I pointed out, also can stand for memorabilia and perfectly matches the color scheme of most of the memorabilia that I'm stitching. I love their needle minders. They're quite strong and hold your needles quite well. And then the other two wooden things, I was just blown away because I mentioned them once and I know she's a good friend and she listens, but I was still very excited and surprised to get them. So one of the things she got me is a universal wooden thread organizer for Owl Forest Embroidery designs. As you might know, or if you didn't, you will now, they have the same symbols in all of their patterns, some, you know, fewer, some more, and they have this lovely universal organizer you can use for any of their designs. So she gifted me this one. It's got a few empty slots, you know, for your white or black, or some of the designs use metallic flosses as well, like Krynic or DMC. So I've already sorted my Woodland Spirit flosses on here. Absolutely love it. Such a thoughtful, lovely gift. And then the other one, my heart just melted. So it's a lovely pomegranate organizer as well. It's got these beautiful engravings with some designs on them. Maybe they're laser cut, I'm not sure how it's done. And then you can put 8 different colors on here. And it's absolutely perfect for my hopefully soon-ish start, the Czar pomegranate that I'm planning to stitch from the Owl Forest book. So I'm so excited, I'm so happy, and I love things made out of wood. They just make my heart melt, and they just have such a different energy than, you know, plastic or metal. And They're kind of warm to the touch almost. And then the last thing she sent me is incredibly precious. So you might have seen me stitch the 3 out of 4 dimensions designs from this series. She had actually stitched the 4th design herself and gifted it to me because I decided not to stitch it, and I sold my kit because I was done with the series and I didn't want to stitch it anymore. And she kindly sent me hers. So I think it's my first stitched gift from her, which is again very precious. Very lovely, neat stitching. And I'm hoping to FFO all 4 of them, maybe even December. It would be nice to wrap up the year with a few more FFOs that I could show you in the finish parade. So yeah. Lovely, wonderful, thoughtful gift. It actually arrived a couple of weeks before my birthday in some record time, in like 8 to 10 days from Belarus. I diligently put it away, didn't open the packaging, didn't look at the customs declaration where you have to kind of write out what's inside, so I wouldn't spoil the surprise. I waited all the way till my birthday, and on the morning of the 11th I opened it, and I was really glad that I waited. And then before I started my L4s that day, I sorted the flosses on the new organizer, so that was wonderful. The other gift that I got in November was a gift card from my mom-in-law. So I asked her to give me one for one of the English cross-stitch shops, and she did. And I got myself a few kits and a couple of flosses and beads that are somewhere else. Where is she? There. So the gift certificate that my mom-in-law got me was spent on a few lovely Mill Hill kits. I got, what's it called? Seashell wreath. I have a couple from the series of these wreaths already. The only thing that I'm doing differently with these is I'm hoping to stitch them on fabric without the background, so just do the wreaths instead. Beautiful colors, and a really lovely button from, where's it hiding? It's hiding somewhere. And a lovely button from Just Another Button Company that looks like a sand dollar. I also got myself 2 little Mill Hills, the little chickadee that I wanted for quite a while, and they had it in stock and I snatched it up. This one has a little treasure, I think, as well. And then the other little one is the Christmas Eve design. That really reminds me of our home here, with the lovely red front door. This one has a charm as well, and it's a crescent moon. Beautiful colors. Might even stitch them in December, who knows. And then the other 2 things are materials, some of the materials I'm collecting for my, again, soon-ish, at some point, start for Nora and Nora Mermaid. So I have the fabric, I have the pattern now, and then I got the 2 out of 3 silks that I was missing, and 2 colors of beads that I was missing as well. I'm just doing it from stash, and the 2 silks are Midnight and Periwinkle, I think, and they're Karen Water Lilies. And I've already put them in the bag. As you can see, she will live in my Japanese Waves bag. Can't wait to start her. Like I said, I'm hoping that if I finish the fountain by May, I can start her in May then. Fingers crossed. What else did I get in November? So that was all of the gifts. I still have, I know a Stitchy friend from Russia is sending me a gift for my birthday / New Year's as well, and that's going to be arriving probably after New Year, so I'll show you that when that arrives separately. I also got a pattern gifted by one of my viewers, and I'll insert the preview here. It's a Russian designer with these lovely spooky characters that I think it just calls for DMC colors, and I'm thinking I could use perforated paper for them again, and maybe do add magnets on the back and put them on my needle minder board in there. And then the rest of the things were my own purchases. What did I get? Right, at the Stitchy retreat I went to, I got only a couple of things. I got 2 absolutely wonderful needle minders. They are the Moon and Sun tarot cards. They're made of acrylic, I think, but especially the Moon one feels almost like bone pieces from mahjong or something. Very lovely. A lot of fun to use these, and I'm actually using one of them on a project already. And then the other thing I got was a hand-dyed floss. So this is Fire Pit by Stitchy Ferret, and it's a variegated cotton that's 20 meters long, so 4 times longer than your normal. It goes from a dark charcoal gray to wine red and bright Christmas red and orange, and just looks amazing. No idea what I'm going to stitch with it. Probably a long dog, I'm thinking, or something sort of meant to be monochromatic, but you know, with one, I don't know if 20 meters is enough, but I can get more. Sophie's local here in Nottingham. And then we were discussing needle minders and beading and stuff, and I mentioned to one of the stitchers that I've seen them on someone's video and I couldn't find them anywhere after that, and she was so kind to go through some listings on Etsy and find it for us. So this is a needle minder that is used for beading. As you can see, it's got a sticky layer and a little cover on top, and it's made by Denkai Designs, and you can get it on Etsy. I think they are local, they're somewhere in the UK as well. And they were so kind enough to and lovely to also include a free needle minder for me and some sweeties. So that was great. I haven't used it yet, as you can see, but I feel like it's a perfect opportunity to use on a memorabilia. So I wanted something that's on my fabric while I'm stitching, where I can pour a few beads that will not, you know, run away anywhere, and I can stitch off there instead of having an organizer in one hand and then beading only with the other hand. I will see how it goes and I'll tell you what I think about it. We also got a lovely discount because there was a few of us making the order, I think. And then a lovely little gift I got from one of the stitchers at my table at the Stitchy Day was this bag of ribbons and some trim for the finishing and some buttons and a lovely keychain that you can either use as a zipper pull with a piece of your design in it, you know, or stitch something into it, put on your keys. Very sweet, very lovely. I got one pattern in the Black Friday deals. So I've been thinking about stitching a chatelaine mandala for a while now, I'll be honest with you. The big ones are gorgeous and they are slightly intimidating, not only because of the specialty stitches and the complexity of the patterns and the size of them, but because of the amount of materials and the price of kitting them up. So what I've decided to do for now, to just try it out and see if I like the you know, the designing, if I like the colors, if I like the general idea of it, I've decided to get myself a smaller pattern that has fewer specialty materials that I can source a bit easier, hopefully. And I got the beaded dragonfly tile. I'm inserting the preview here. So Ella, Martina's daughter, who is now running the store now that Martina has passed away, unfortunately, gave us all a wonderful gift of 20% discount during the Black Friday weekend, and so I decided it was the perfect timing to, you know, get one of their patterns, and I got myself a PDF of their website. You can order the packs of beads and specialty flosses from, I think it's called European Cross Stitch, which, contrary to its name, as I found out, is based in US rather than Europe. And I was considering that, but didn't want to wait for a few months, because it does take them some time to put your pack together, because they put them together individually based on your order. And then I wasn't sure about the shipping and customs coming from the US and stuff, so I was lucky enough to actually get a pack of the beads and crystals from a Russian store. Like I said, because I'm waiting for a parcel from a friend in Russia, she just ordered them for me to her address, and we'll include them in the parcel, and I just paid her back for that. So I'm hoping that we'll get them sometime in the new year, and they were in stock as well, which made my decision, so, you know, quite easier. So I didn't have to wait, and I just needed to wait for them to arrive. And it, like I said, it only includes the beads and the crystals. The pattern calls for only 3 specialty flosses, which are a Karen and 2 rainbow gallery threads. I think the silk is already on its way to me I think the silk is already on its way to me, and the other 2 are out of stock in most places where I shop, so I'm just going to keep an eye on those stores and, you know, get them when they come back in stock. So I'm really excited to try it. I'm not starting it anytime soon, as in the next couple of weeks or months. Again, I have been thinking about some plans for next year, and then I'll share those with you at the beginning of next year, and I'm hoping to maybe start it in May. We'll see how things go. So I think that was all of the purchases I did in November. Got quite a few gifts, and because I bought myself a Stitchy lamp in October, that kind of used up most of my hobby budget for the last couple of months. That was probably it for stitching and hauling things, and then the last bit is the life update. So like I said, November was my birthday month, and we spent a lovely day with my husband out on the day in a bookstore. We had a little road trip, had wonderful lunch there, roamed around, got loads of lovely books, and spent just a nice chill day together. I've opened some of the other gifts that day. We had a slow, lovely morning with a lovely breakfast at home, so I really enjoyed it, and yeah, had a good time. We had our friends over for dinner as well that week. That was very nice to see them again. I feel like the older you get, the harder it is to get people together, and birthdays and holidays are always a good excuse to do that. I asked my sister to gift me the new Dragon Age game as well, so I've been spending a lot of time gaming in November and not stitching as much, as you can see. I could have probably stitched more during the month if I wasn't gaming, you know. But all is fun, all is good. I do love both, and whilst I mostly spend my free time stitching, I love it when a game just entices me so much I have to spend a few hours in it before I move on to other hobbies. I went to a local crafty event that is a little gathering of crafters of all kinds. Like I said, people draw, people make jewelry, people you know, do other kinds of embroidery and stuff. There's one other lady who cross stitches there as well, and we just get together once in a couple of weeks in a cafe and stitch for a couple hours. But then I also attended the Stitchy Day organized by Sophie of the Stitchy Ferret, and I'll leave her details in the description to the video so you can get in touch. So she organized a lovely day retreat for us in central Nottingham, and we stitched there from like 9 a.m. till like 5 or 6 in the evening, and we had lovely lunch provided by the hotel as well. We had coffees and teas and soft drinks and cakes, again provided by the organizers, so that was really lovely. We had two stalls there at the retreat. Sophie herself dyes fabrics and flosses, so that's where I got my lovely hand dyed from, and I think the needle minders are also hers. And also Cheryl makes lovely wooden scissor stands and spool stands and things, and I'll link to her again in the description below. We ended up meeting a lot of local crafters, which was wonderful, meeting loads of new people. It was a first retreat in person for me, well, and yeah, first retreat in general for me in the UK like this, and I was really excited to have attended. It was wonderful seeing people who are as passionate as me about cross stitching in real life as well. I had wonderful stitches at my table, and we've exchanged our contacts and are keeping in touch, and hopefully we'll see each other again. So everyone loved the first retreat so much that Sophie decided to organize another one like this. Same place, same kind of story. So you do a day retreat without having to stay overnight, spend money on hotel and traveling and things, and it turns out quite, you know, quite cheap to do something like this. So she's doing one in February. She has kindly asked the ones who had already attended to sign up first, and then she posted a story on Instagram, I believe, where she's asking if anyone else wants to join. So like I said, I'll leave her contacts down below. If you're local to Nottingham and you would like to attend a day stitchy retreat, just stitch with other crafters, just chit chat about crafts and life and whips and all the fun things. Do a bit of shopping if you want to, do some look at the brag table and all the other things. You can, you know, get in touch with Sophie and hopefully attend the one in February. That was probably all of my November. It's actually under 90 minutes. I can see the timing now, so I'm quite glad that it's not going to be as long. I'm hoping I didn't forget anything. If you want to join the giveaways, like I said, use the word blossom for the Mirabilia one and use the word Mary for the hands-on design one. If you want to ask me any questions or have any comments, please feel free to either comment below or message me on Instagram, Maria_thegreenstitcher, or email me at mariathegreenstitcher@gmail.com. Yeah, November was great. I'm looking forward to December. We've already put up the tree, decorated the house. I've already started working on those 4 whips that I hadn't touched until December this year, and I'm really looking forward to the holiday break, a bit more time to game, to stitch, to craft, to spend time with family and friends, and eat loads of good food and watch more of holiday films and shows. And so I'll thank you for watching this video and spending your time with me today. Hope you'll have a wonderful holiday season and have loads of time to enjoy your stitching. If you are attending Jingle Ball as well, I'll see you there. I hope. I'm not 100% sure how it works. It's my first time going, so if you want to see me somehow and we can somehow arrange it, I'll be there. Not sure which time yet. I'll probably post something on Instagram when I am there, obviously due to the time difference and me having other things to do during the weekend and trying to sleep still at my normal schedule. I will not be there, you know, the whole weekend and all day every day. And we'll try to be at the international table, Stitchy table. I've heard that's where you can join in if you're from this side of the world. I'm excited to try speed dating and watch all of the entertainment that the organizers made for us in the hall. Maybe do a bit of purchasing as well, see what's available for the you know, special designs that everyone made for the Jingle Ball this year. And yeah, really excited, looking forward to December, and I'm hoping to see you guys very, very soon. Thank you so much for your time again, and I'll see you later. Bye.